Hello, my name is Kim Harford. I am doing my oral presentation on the older adult. The stage I'm going to do focus my presentation on is Erikson theory of psychosocial. I am going to look at stage 8 of stage of development. There are 8 stages in development. In the 8th stage, integrity versus despair, old age. People in older age reflect on their lives and take an inventory of their successes. People who are satisfied with what they have accomplished has a sense of well-being and peace. Those who are not satisfied have a sense of despair and they are mourn for lost opportunities. On this slide, there are important experiences in Mary's life. Oh, I need to go back and explain the person I interviewed. I did change her name to Mary, so I will be using the name Mary through the presentation. Mary returned to college at the age of 60. Before returning from her job, retiring from her job, excuse me, she took advantage of tuition assistant program that was offered at her job, and she decided she wanted to go back and finish her finish college. She received a bachelor degree in art history. So at age 63, she graduated for college. After retiring from her job, she volunteered at the local art museum in the area I live at. During their time at the volunteer at the art museum, she worked with children. She enjoys working with children. There was a traveling art exhibit that traveled the local schools in the area. So it gave the kids opportunity to be able to experience art. Some of these kids were inner city kids, and they've never had opportunity to go to an art museum. Right now, she enjoys attending her grandchildren's activities. Mary has 4 grandchildren. They're all teenagers at this point in their life. So she doesn't babysit as much. She enjoys taking them to lunch, movies, and attending their activities. She also organized the family reunion. There's a yearly family reunion Mary helps organize every year. Usually she told me it rotates different locations. This year the family reunion was at a local amusement park. Mary also drives her good friend back and forth from radiation treatments. Her friend currently is fighting cancer. So weekly, Mary would drive her friend to radiation treatment. This is the time to give Mary and her friend a chance to catch up. And after treatment, if her friend's up to it, sometimes they like to go out for a late lunch or early dinner. Mary is also a leader of the women's auxiliary group at her church. The group right now is currently has older women. There's not that many young women who join this group. Mary stated to me that she understands women are busier than ever than in the past when she was raising children. So it's really hard for her and her group trying to recruit younger women. This group also is responsible for raising money for the local high school scholarship fund, so she's very proud of that. That money is given to high school seniors every school year to help them with further education going to college. Mary also volunteers teaching at the local prison. She usually teaches reading skills to a group of 3 to 4 men. I asked Mary, was she a little nervous for working with this population? And she said no, she's never had a problem with any of those prisoners. They've always been respectful to her. And she enjoys hearing their stories, and she also enjoys just be able to teach them reading. The next slide we're talking about is the challenges and accomplishments in Mary's life at this stage. Looking at Mary, her father was an alcoholic. This happened during her early development stage, but this did have effect on Mary in this stage also. Um, Another challenge was her sister's death. Her sister died 10 years ago, which was a result to a botched robbery. She was robbed one night leaving work, and the she was assaulted, but the person shot her in her back, which left her half paralyzed. So Mary's sister had complications for years after this incident. Um, Mary also felt a little guilty about this situation. The family wanted her sister to move back in the area. Her sister was a traveling nurse. So her sister decided to move back to the area. And maybe a year after moving back to the area, this incident happened. Mary stated to me that she felt as if her sister would have stayed where she was at, out of the state, maybe she would be around right now. So Mary says she does carry some guilt about that. Um, Another challenge for Mary is returning to school and working full time. She said a lot of people thought she was basically crazy for going back to school at her age, but she said it wasn't about about the money, because she said, I know I'm going to major in art history. Really, there's not that many careers. She's at her point in her life, she wasn't going to use her degree as a way of making, a career advancement. She decided this is something she wanted to accomplish for herself. And a lot of people said rude comments about her, about the situation. And she just said, this is about me. You don't understand. And she just walked away. So she's a spicy, spunky little lady. Another accomplishment, was she's raised two children and have four grandchildren. Mary's very proud of the fact that both her children, her and her husband, were able to provide education for her children. Both of them are college graduates, so she's very proud of that. Another accomplishment is Mary finishing college. Um, and helping others. Again, she helps her friend with the radiation treatment, driving back and forth. She works with the ladies at the auxiliary group at her local church. She helps with her family, and she enjoys reading, with helping with reading skills with the local prisoners. Oops. Right now we're talking about the psychosocial crisis resolution. Erickson states that those who are unsuccessful during the eighth stage will feel that their life has been wasted and will experience many regrets. Those who are unsuccessful during this phase will feel that their life has been wasted and will experience many regrets. The individual will be left with feelings of bitterness and despair. Two things that happened that's during our talk with Mary. My talk with Mary was Mary's father was an alcoholic. Mary said her father was a functioning alcoholic. He worked at the local steel mill, but he came home for a little bit after work and always end up at the local bar. Um, and the death of her sister. That were two things that, and during my interview with Mary, she brought up. So those are two things that she was a crisis for Mary. The biopsychosocial factors are events that inhibited the resolution of the psychosocial crisis. I'm looking at the biological level of Mary. Mary's an 85-year-old woman, white female. Her diet consists of fruit, vegetables, fish, and chicken. Mary occasionally eats beef. Mary exercises daily. She walks at the local park. Mary does not drink. She states she doesn't drink alcohol because growing up with her father, who was an alcoholic. Mary states she is hard of hearing in her right ear. Her psychological level, Mary is Catholic. She is very involved with her church. Mary seems to demonstrate high self-esteem. There is no knowledge of mental illness with her and her family. Mary has a great memory. Mary was raised in an ethnically diverse area. The area she lives at, she was born and raised in that area, and she still lives there to this day, and it's a diverse area. Mary seems to have a very easygoing personality. Mary's education is a bachelor's degree in art history. The social level for Mary is Mary's married. Her and her husband still lives independently. She is retired. She volunteers also as a reading teacher at prison and volunteers at church. She drives her friends to radiation treatment, and she has a great relationship with her husband, her 2 adult children, and her 4 grandchildren. The biosocial factors and events that may have exhibit resolutions for social crisis. In this part, we're looking at how oppression may have shaped Mary. Mary was the oldest of 8 children. She grew up poor. Um, this is going back to birth to young adulthood. However, her father provided for her and her family, and they were never hungry. Father worked at the local steel mill, and he would visit the local bar nightly. Mary was the oldest of eight children. Her sister was robbed and partially paralyzed. Mary's I asked Mary how she felt about the situation during the time talking about her father, start back with her father, how she felt. She said she grew up for a while. She didn't realize her father was alcoholic, but as she got older, she said she felt angry. She felt unfair that she was responsible for helping take care of her children, take care of her brothers and sisters when she got home from school. As she got older, moved out, married, she learned to let it go and move on. She didn't have any resentment to her father when he passed years ago. Mary's sister, Mary says she still feels guilty for her sister, and she said that's a guilt that she probably would never get rid of. Her sister was very happy in her life, so that made her feel better. She got a chance to see her, to hang out with, be with her, got to meet her nieces and nephews, majority of them. So Mary, part of her feel guilty about what happened to her sister. Part of her is happy that she did have to have time with her sister before she passed. On this slide, we're looking at the psychosocial crisis resolution. We're looking at the events that may inhibit, the resolution of the social psycho crisis. Looking at the family. Mary was the youngest of 7 siblings. This is before marriage. Mary and her Mary's mother and father were married.